Let's see if this works. Oh, hey. This is my first attempt at going live. Yeah, it's better. I didn't know if my OBS was connected, so I wanted to test it out. It's Sunday, 9 a.m., so I'm just gonna do some back testing on um MNQ, of course, because that's where I make all my money, or if that's where I plan on making all my money. Ooh, it's kind of dark, isn't it? I turned the light on. Hmm. I think the audio should be okay. I think. Now, me being super dark or not dark is a different consideration, though. Let's look at my video capture display options. Oh, that cleared up nicely. Anyway, hmm. Happy New Year, y'all. I hope everybody's enjoyed the time off. I know I did. Honestly, I had a hard time even picking up and doing stuff on the charts. I really, really did. So, got two screens, one in front, one to the right, and then my laptop in front of me. I did adjust my laptop so it's new, more better set up for trading, more resources. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be running through my setups and testing whether or not I can add or remove different micros and working on my patience and not feeling rushed when trying to jump into a trade. This is my last day of my vacation, so I'm probably not going to be like bum rushing this like a ton. So, meaning probably not like a 3 hour session or anything like that. Um, so I'm just going to pick random days, and go through the process. So let's see. What's the process? Let's grab a text thing here. It's a new daily process, and I'll add that to my notes. So one, check high time frame. So that means daily 12 hour, 4 hour, 1 hour for direction. Of course, 15 minutes, of course. Then mark out high time frame PD PD arrays, right? So order blocks, fair value gaps, anything like that. And then uh, look at news, then for wait for the usual. So anything between, if there's no news, most likely anything between 9:45 to 10 a.m. for a trade. Um, Basically looking for anything during the macros, 9:50 to 10:10, and so on. I usually have meetings and things that are in the way from 9:30 to 10 and then 10 to 10:30. So it's going to be a little bit rough trying to figure out or even get something. As for the trade itself, as always, we're looking for liquidity sweep, so like an LS, a shift in structure, and then just gonna enter them. in on days when it just sort of runs away, that'll be a little bit different, and I'll just have to um, make that a little bigger, and then I'll just have to look for a continuation trade. Um, Looking for a shift on the 5 minute for the most part, if I can get it, and then look for an entry. So, with all of that in mind, me, why is it always so hard for me to move these things around? Okay, I'm gonna move this down, or maybe even up, whatever. I don't think the trading in December was very good. The price action was amazing. So we're just gonna replay and just grab a random day. We're gonna close our eyes and just grab a random day and just. All right. So what do we have? So we have this is what September 3rd. Now we do this on Thinkorswim, but it's not working. Like the price movement's not working. So I'm gonna have to talk to I'm gonna talk to support on that. All right, so what do we have? So we have down close candle, we have structure that's already been taken here. So some sell side's already been taken the previous day. Order block here. So I'm just gonna note those so I'm aware that they exist. So I'm just gonna note the base and the wick of the OB right now, just to be aware of it. OB daily bearish. I'll just put a minus in front of it. Call it a day. All right. Oh, probably should let it show. Let's put it on top. Okay. And then I'm going to let's dip to the 12-hour and see what we have in that general space for the day. So we have the order block. You can see here, we got a fair value gap up here. We have one in here. So I'm also going to note, also we're sitting inside of this bigger fair value gap. So on the 12 hours, a 12-hour order block, bearish fair value gap right here. So I would consider anything bullish if we busted above that. Okay, and let's look at the 4-hour, and then we'll refine things as needed. So we'll refine things as needed. So we got something up here, this 401. So if we disrespect this, I'm just going to readjust it. Right? And then we're going to look at the 10 o'clock time frame and see if there's anything juicy that we could have used. And then, so for right now, we've taken out sell side quite with some alacrity. There's more. They want to dip into it. It's all the way down here, and I was working on that bias business. So overall, the bias is still very bullish. We still haven't taken out this range, even though we had this very beautifully bearish move, but it's moved into this order block right here. So we're just kind of like respecting the hell out of it. Wick, wick, wick. And then this wick for the previous day makes me feel like we might return back up. So let's go into the 1 hour. Hey, what is happening? Happy New Year. How's it going? Did you have a good New Year? Did you party hard? I know I didn't. It was too cold. So cold. It could barely get me to leave the house. I mean, let's be honest. I hope you had a lovely end to 2025 and you're geared up and ready for 2026. I'm trying to gear up and get ready and get my mind right. Switching to micros. um, and getting out of my own way as it is. I'm just getting comfy with um, what I'm gonna need to do this year to be profitable. Hope you're doing well, Arjun. Hope you're doing well. Can't complain. I'm just not chill with my cat. Forward movement. Oh, you didn't chill with your cat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, I was watching Stranger Things, actually. All everything but the finale, and then I watched the finale on New Year's because it was 2 hours. Because by the time I finished with the episode 7, it was after midnight, and I stopped to go, "Yay, Happy New Year!" and send the texies and all that, and then I went to bed, man. Whole new year, whole new opportunities. I like to look at the new year as a fresh slate, especially when it comes to my trading account, because this is the only time of the year where my profit and loss is at zero. So I like that. You haven't seen the finale? You know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's 2.5 hours, well, 2 hours and 8 minutes really. And I like the way they kind of wrap things up. So definitely check it out and see what you think about it. The whole explanation thing was rather interesting. Rather interesting. Yeah, no rush. I'm probably not the likelihood of me taking trades in January, it has to be the cleanest, clearest looking thing, or else I'm not gonna bother. Or else I'm not gonna bother. If we open up after 9:30 and we're just chopping around, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna close out the charts and come back the next day. Or the PM if it's clear. Or the PM if it's clear. There's no rush. So this is me just trying to getting more comfortable with checking the higher time frame, seeing where price is gonna go, and then looking for the manipulation, like, and waiting to see how I can like work my micros in, because I'm gonna trade somewhere between 2 to 3 micros depending on the setup, and then just eat the fees. Just eat the fees, and just get over myself. Because if I'd done that at the very beginning when I first started trading this account, I wouldn't be so stressed. I would not. I would be way more comfortable and way happier. For real. All right, so this is a random day I picked, September 3rd. So we're basically gonna go through and just grab a random day, check the oh, it's September 3rd, check to see if there is any oops, any news on that day. So there's jolts at 10. Okay, so then that means I would wait until after 10 o'clock to do anything that day. Exactly. Exactly. That's a good point. That's a very good point. So one of the things I was very bad at, like last year, was getting married to my setup, right? Like being married to the setup, and ignoring the other side where I could, let's say I was looking for a long, I was looking for a certain behavior for the long, but it failed, and it was obvious it was going to go in the opposite direction. So why couldn't I just adjust my thought process and take that trade? So now I think with part of my issue was the fact that I was trading minis and my stop was so tight, And with micros, my stop can still be 0.5% of the account, but can be way bigger. And the other thing I'm going to be doing is when I place my stop, I'm going to make sure that there's at least 3 PD arrays in between it. So an order block, fair value gap, and just set it. So depending on what that means and where that sits, then that will dictate how many micros I can trade. If it's two, if it's three, maybe even four. If the setup is in a place where I can like risk a little bit more and the stock can be a little bit tighter. Anyway, but you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Definitely something I did not do very well last year that I'm going to be working on this year for sure. All right, so we've got a 4 hour, a 1 hour bearish order block here. It's been used. Actually, this is a 4 hour one, so we can adjust as we go. So this is a 4 hour fair value gap that's been used as support. We've busted above it, and now we're moving above it. So let me move this back a bit, right? Because we'll be looking at what happened at 10 o'clock, right? After 10 o'clock. And this is the bearish order, daily order block, just the wick, the full volume value of the wick that I wanted to pay attention to. And then, of course, we could dig into this 1 hour fair value gap if we were gonna like aim for that. But for now, I'm really just trying to focus on the order block. We've been more bearish, even though if I'm being honest, like these equal lows, they took them out. So I'd be looking for more bullish activities moving forward from this particular price point. So let's dig down. So far, the 4 hours bullish, the 1 hour is bullish. The 15-minute is looking pretty bullish. Let me see, because I need to be very particular. Because I would have waited until, let's back this up a little more. Because we're looking to see what we would do after 10 o'clock. So we know it's more bullish. We're looking for manipulation. So what happened? So 9:30 occurred. Make sure we can see this. So 9:30 came, and then we dropped. We dug into this fair value gap right here. We didn't really reach into the 4 hour one very far. And then 10 o'clock news hit, and it popped up. So now, let's look at the 5 minute. At that point, this is kind of ugly, right? This is kind of ugly. And the thing is, though, I would be looking for them to push up, because the 9:30 like I'm gonna consider this like area here the accumulation, right? Like if you look at me, pull this over. Look at this as the accumulation. They were waiting. Then manipulation, 9:30, we came down and dropped. And then now the 10 o'clock news hit. Now I'm waiting to see what they're going to do. Are we going to take this out again and then reach for the lows, or are we going to reach up into this order block? So one of the things that I'm looking for is I want a really strong 5 minute shift, and then I'll start looking for an entry. So we have what I'm going to consider a rejection after the manipulation. So what would I be looking for? Like this nice, they dug into the order block here, and they've run back up. If I'm going to remain bullish in this scenario, let's see, what do we have to work with? I'm going to look at the 1 minute. I'm going to look at, let's see, do we have anything in this very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to consider it a very confusing space. So we need something that's at 10 o'clock, we pushed up. We had this fair value gap with this that formed, and this one right here. Did we respect this one? Sort of did, and then pushed away. And now we've made this very aggressive push up. So now I'm looking to see what they do in this general vicinity. And personally, since this is the daily order block, I'd be aiming for like the midpoint of this or something like that. The wick, the midpoint of the wick. I'm not looking for anything too crazy. So the question becomes like, what can I do? Let's say I wanted to do 3 micros. So we we tapped into this little order block and we ran up pretty aggressively. We want to make it up to here approximately. So 3 micros for me, and if I'm gonna sit, we got a fair value gap here, one here, we've got a what would essentially be a propulsion block here. So if I were to do something like this with 3 micros and a stop below here, which I think is about $185 altogether, approximately. And that's what, 34 points? That's a pretty big stop, right? All right, let's see. The question is, do we even get the opportunity? So now the other thing is, the other consideration was, do we just tap into this fair value gap here and just run? Something that I did a lot last year that I'm going to try my best not to do this year is ignore the fair value gap entry. Now the question is, if I had set it here, would that have been enough? Fair value gap, I wouldn't have liked that. I might have tried midway, but I did like this, with the expectation that they would dip into this fair value gap here. They fully disrespected it, but they dipped into it. They tapped the top of it. Probably going to run away with it now and not give you an entry. Or not. Something else that I'm going to work on this year is my patience, like not rushing after the trade, like waiting for the things that you're expecting and being, what's the word I'm looking for? Being proactive when the setup. So they've tapped back into it. Now I would consider this now as a potential entry, same stop. I don't know, let's see. Because they rejected from it. The question is, am I too late? So the answer is yes, I am way too late. Okay. Yeah, I am too late. All right, so this space is like super, super, like these types of areas here, it's not clean, it's not clear, it's hard for me to read sometimes, right? And you just heard me say maybe the midpoint of this wick wouldn't, this fair value gap wouldn't be bad, or even considering taking the entry at the top of this guy, mainly because they've been so aggressive with the disrespect of this fair value gap. So that would have been okay. And my three, what's the word I'm looking for? My three PDOA rule, I don't know, how would that have worked here? Because we've got a order block here for the downside. We've got fair value gap here. That would have covered that 1, 2, but it wouldn't have covered this one. Maybe a little bit of this propulsion block, but it would still have worked because they're moving aggressively up. And my general hope was that we would have gotten an entry here once we push back up. But that's the problem with what I was doing last year is, sometimes waiting for that setup and missing it. Now, the other thing I could have waited for, and something I need to pay very, very, very serious attention to, is other fair value gaps in the area that have been used previously. Look at that, I missed it. So this is something I'm going to be trying to like look for very carefully, right? So there is this 1 minute fair value gap over here, used as support. Support here. We disrespected the hell out of it here. Use it as support here, busted above it. And then once we busted above it one more time, midpoint of that, along with the top of this one, should have been a good potential entry. But the thing is, I gotta be able to notice it. So that, let's see, that would have been the setup to the midpoint of the wick. So I don't need them to rush to the whole bottom of the daily fair value gap here. But the midpoint of the wick, I think that would have been decent. So because we don't know what that would have netted us, I'm gonna back up a smidge to here. And let's pretend we did notice that. So we're gonna try and spend time and look to see what fair value gap's been reused and maybe utilize that for, oops, do an undo there, and utilize that for the entry. Because the one thing I'm trying my best to not do is rushing never did me any favors. So let's see. So that would have popped me in. And then, of course, the moment we busted above here, I would have reduced my stop. Now, I'm trading 3 micros, so that's fee-wise about $22 approximately. And this is the reason why I have not used them this way for the last 2 years, because I don't want to spend that money, right? So $21.90 is what this would cost me. So once we bust above here, I would lock in $22 just to handle fees. So let's let's note it. We're only doing this just to see what we would be making on that. Okay, so $504 is what would have netted us if we'd utilized all the different confluences to get this trade moving. And just for a feel good moment, we're just gonna feel good. All right, so we've moved up. So then I would put this at $22 approximately. Leave it at the top of that. $27. Fees covered. All right, we've digging into it. And then voila, we would get that. But that would require me to have noticed this. So let's pick another day and try that again. Let's go to the daily and let's close this out. All right, and let's hit replay and let's go back again. We're just doing this and grabbing a random day. Okay, all right, where did we land? August 12th. All right, so let's go to August 12th. And did we have news that day? So we had core CPI at 8:30 and nothing else. Okay, perfect. So that means we could do anything after that. Now, ignoring the fact that we know it's bullish here, the structure, been moving up, we retraced, disrespected the order block right here with this candle, moved down a little bit, but the expectation would still be bullish and looking for that high right there. So let's note that out with the assumption that we'll set the clock back and see how we would have traded it. All right, so 12-hour to this point, bullish. 4-hour up to this point, bullish. 1 hour, bullish. Okay, let's drop down to, actually let's drop down to the 1 minute. Reset that and let's roll up on the 10 o'clock time frame. All right, cool. Let's move the bar back to 9:45-ish, about right there. Okay. So things that I'm always now looking for is manipulation. So I want to know what 930 does, and then if there is some sort of like follow through for it for a continuation in the direction it wants to go, or if we're just manipulating, then a nice juicy push up after that. All right. So things I'm going to note on this 1 minute is this fair value gap right here, because we've moved up quite significantly from it. And I want to see if we're going to respect it. This is the 1 minute. And then just like we messed up the last time, we're going to see if there's anything further over we should be paying attention to that price has been using for support. There's this little guy that it was using as, and these fair value gaps for me, they usually have to be in, why is it so dark? Come on. It's like this camera just doesn't know how to, it's not that dark outside, seriously. Guys, I apologize. I don't know what's up with this camera. Anyway. All right, so this is the news. Boom, boom, boom. We got a daily high up here. And let's see. So what did 930 do? So 930, okay, we ran up. We didn't really, I trust this more if it took the high out, and it didn't. So let's see. If we're inherently bullish, we're waiting for a shift upward that would, actually, and I said I was waiting for a 5-minute shift, right? So let's stay on the 5-minute. And so we have this 5-minute here at 950. We wicked through, took this out. Anything I should be aware of? Tapped into this fair value gap that's been acting as support, fully disrespected. Now I wonder if a scenario where, again, trying to pay attention to these things. So I'm wondering if a scenario where we utilize so this bearish fair value gap did its job, fully disrespected. We came back, tapped it, and it ran. So do we consider this what we need to push up? So my thing is, or could we have felt comfortable enough? These cats, man, they're huge, by the way. They're huge. They're big, big, big cats. So big. Anyway, should I have felt comfortable setting an order here now that it's been fully disrespected with the expectation that they might continue back up from that? That's a consideration too. So let me see. What would that have looked like? So if I'd done something like that with the expectation we're going to do this, right? And so what do we have? We have this big fair value gap. Stop would protect that. We got an order block here, and then more fair value gap here. So yeah, that's 3 PD arrays to supposedly protect it, right? So let's say that I didn't do that, but it's a consideration, something that I want to get better at. So we've created equal highs up here by dropping down. 930 ran up and then blew everybody out. So my question is, if I saw this, didn't take it, right? Because it's not technically my setup, but it is a consideration. So what do I want to see? I want to see a strong, and this is not a setup, it's just a thought. I want to see a strong 5-minute push-up before I go for a long. Things that they can do. Lows they can take out. This one. And things we need to always pay attention to. What about London low? What about Asia low? Have they already taken those out, right? So in the night, this is lots of consolidation. They manipulated up, and is this going to be the expansion down? I'm gonna say I don't know because I'm still trying to like work this out in my head some days. But London looks like there's a lot of consolidation, so this would be the accumulation phase, right? I would have preferred if they dropped and took this out first. Preference. I would have preferred that. Anyway, but again, I'm still bullish overall. They've manufactured equal highs up here, and then we've dropped into this fair value gap. So this drop disabuses me of the desire to just take the trade at a fair value gap that's been utilized this way, just so. So now we're waiting. So we're getting close to 10 o'clock. I'd wait for 10 o'clock at this point because I don't have anything clear. Tapped into this order block, fair value gap, pushing up. All right, so now I'm going to wait for a proper shift. Let's see. Do we get something clear after this? So it's 10 o'clock. Like I want, this is its own little range or area. So I wouldn't mind it being disrespected, or at least the fair value gap being disrespected. So let's see. Okay, so removing this guy just to release. So I want to see this fair value gap disrespected, and then I want to potentially, because this whole thing's an order block, just to be clear. I want them to leave a decent sized fair value gap. There's not one down here. I want them to leave this one. So after 10 o'clock, all right. So let's see, what do we have to make this worthwhile? Okay, this is the higher time frame. No, this is the bigger thing. So I would like to see that push up and then take it at the midpoint of that. Then I'd have the fair value gap, the order block that's forming here, and then this fair value gap sort of to block things. Let's see. But we need like a nice juicy push up for that. And then looking for something like that. So let's see. The other thing is, are we respecting the fair value gap? I like that wicking right there. The question is, can I become more preemptive with the entries with micros? So if I like adjusted this to 1 micro, I could have 100, I could do something like this, and then I have 184, like a 46, a 45 handle stop, which is pretty big, right? Or if I do two, I could do maybe a 145 handle stop. But let's see. This hasn't properly been disrespected yet, so. Now the question is, have I also waited too long again for this? Because with this entry, I would do the 3. Have I also waited too long for this setup? Because this made me feel like, yeah, all right, we're respecting it. It might pop back up, and I probably should feel comfortable getting in at that point. Not running after anything. Okay. Oh, come on. Dang, you see that? Now that's the stuff that was happening to me a lot last year. So should I have reconsidered and set my entry at the top of the order block? Order block, fair value gap, ah, yes. as prices unfolding, man, the things you'd be missing things, man. You'd be missing things. So top of the order block, that will cover that. Fair value gap, fair value. That's three things in the way. And that should have been the entry. Damn it. And if I want to feel more comfortable, make it 2 and call it a day. Okay, so I'm gonna cheat again, just cause. So maybe a little bit in, just to get below this. So that should have been the better entry. So in this scenario, I'd want a wider stop in case I'm wrong. So let's do that, and then my stop can be even there instead. If I'm, wrong. We know I'm not, but so the stop loss would be there, and the TP is less because we've reduced, but okay, because did I not consider, said want a strong push up before moving the stop. Biding time, making me feel very uncomfortable. Okay, so this is where I would put it at 14. Yeah, we'll leave it there because I'll cover fees. And then see if we can't get to where we need to go. We'll be locking things in right now. Just lock it in there and don't worry about the rest. And then that would work. Okay, so let's take a close look at what we missed the first time and then understood the second time. So if I reduce it to 2, my stop can be higher, and then I can cover more. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4 PD arrays in between this, along with the midpoint of this bigger fair value gap. The other option could have been to take it at the top here and have the stop below here, but this nets more, I think, like overall. Okay, so gotta remember to reassess the environment, even though it's pushed off. Like the lowest value is no longer, and that's where I usually miss trades, right? So using the order block at the top, adjusting how many micros that I'm using to a lower number, so I can have the wider stop to allow me to take the trade. That makes sense. All right, let's take that lesson into the next one. Let's clear that out. Let's grab another day. Let's end the replay here and grab another day. In fact, we can even do this. We can make it real thin. Don't even know what you're picking. Replay. Stop. What? Where did I stop? Okay, November 14th. Wow, I thought it was further over. Okay. All right, let's look at the daily. Ugh, it looks like a shit day. Let's see if we would have even bothered with it. So November 14th, things, assuming this hasn't fully formed, I don't know. Looks like we would be bearish on that day. So let's look at the sell side that we would be looking for. So that would be the sell side we're looking for. Also, we have this liquidity void that is of interest down here. give that a different color, something void-like. Okay. And then we have this fair value gap up here for them to dig into. This one they're using as support, so let's utilize technically this whole thing. Goodness, like this is really messy. This to that. Ugh, that's messy. Let me use a closer one for now. We have this daily fair value gap. I mean, most of my issue there is how to draw it. So I have to draw it. I have to use it because that's the one they disrespected like massively here. And I guess that candle formed that one, so just about, maybe? I don't know how well that's looking. Anyway, so 12 hours, ignoring the Wednesday, so pretty bearish. Pretty bearish. 4 hour from early in the morning, bearish. 1 hour, pretty bearish. Okay, so let's move this back to 10 o'clock time frame because pretty bearish. And what day is this? September 13th. Sorry, November 13th. Let's look at November. So 13th had no news. Okay, so it's a free fall trading day. All right, so let's look at the 5 minute. And given that it's a free for all trading day, I would not bother to wait for 10 o'clock because there's no news. I would be looking at 9:30, 9:45. We've got to run back up. Personally, if we stay within the midpoint of this bearish fair value gap, I would be interested in a short. And of course, we're aiming for that puppy down there. And if there's anything juicy in between, like that guy, I'll just note it. Swear to God, Sasha, if you push my laptop down and we're gonna have words. The kitty behind my laptop right here, right here. Enjoying a relaxation time. All right. So let's push this back. I've been doing this in Thinkorswim, but for whatever reason, the micro contracts aren't on the on-demand thing. It's not moving. So I'm gonna have to call support, which is very annoying. Yeah, Sasha. Yeah. I pushed it back. She's like, "How dare you push it on me? Like, mind your business." All right. So we'll have that. We got these order blocks up here. So if I were to like take a short from the order block, what would that look like? Oof, that's a push. I wouldn't even need all of that. 325, that would be insane. Even with 1 micro, that's too much. All right, so we'd be watching. I want to see what they do in here. So for all of that, I don't necessarily need a 5 minute shift, given that I'm expecting it to continue down. So let's see what this look like. If we respect this, let's see what 3 micros would look like. About that. It's not very juicy. 2 would look like we could cover that much. All right, let's look at 2. So I'm looking for, all right, let's do a limit order for 2 micros to sell right there. as a continuation. And we're looking to make some bank. Let's see. All right, so that would have tapped me in. Let's put my stop loss right there. And let's say TP. 2 micros, eh? Let's see. Will 2 micros net us? Now, am I breaking my rules? So once we take this low out, I'll move the stop to cover fees because we can it's an NQ man. She can mess around and do all kinds of stuff. See? Oh, see, look at that. So, okay, so in this scenario, let's look at the 5 minute. Coming to the order block. So this is why you don't like assume NQ can't do it. And it's part of the reason why I'm never super excited about just taking the fair value gap setup either. So I'm about to be stopped out, most likely. Yep. All right. So that would have netted me a full loss on 2 micros on the day. Now the question becomes, should I have moved to cover the fees once it hit over 200 on the micros, or waited or left it as is? Because the other problem I'm working on is moving my stop too soon and then missing out. So I'm looking at a continuation trade down. Okay. So this one looked good, and then they were like, nah, we just gonna run up. But there's no news, so I don't really know. All right. And we've been dropping a whole bunch. So one of two things normally happens. We consolidate or we continue. All right. There's a tiny fair value gap here. Now we're into the order block and this fair value gap. That's a good idea. Partials. It's a good idea. I could have said I could have taken partials. But with 2 micros, it doesn't seem all that great. Like, I mean, is it useful to take two partials? To take a partial, like 1 and 1? I guess with this kind of a range that you're looking for, might have been useful. Or in this scenario, you should have waited for, them to take something out at the 10 o'clock time frame and then dropped it. Like, I'd be willing to take partials if I'd taken, like, say, the 3, right? Take one off just to pay for fees. It's a cleaner to take the fees and then see if the other two would run. I don't know. I'm still trying to understand the best way to utilize these micros. Mm. I don't know. It's just the return wasn't like super amazing. So I was just thinking that's why I had the rule. But I also didn't really measure the distance between this entry. Yeah, that was probably asking for too much. I should have taken I should have moved it into, given the distance to that low from where we were, I should have moved it into to cover fees. Something else to take into account as well. All right, so it's 10:15. We've come up here and rejected nicely. Let's see if it gives us a better entry opportunity. So if it makes like a fair value gap in here, so I'm gonna we could potential. Otherwise, it's going to pop up and take the high out. But we have a fair value gap that it's been using as support. Again, something else I'm trying to pay attention to right here. They've been using that for support this whole time. So if we form a fair value gap down here, I'd be willing to take the short, I think. Uh, so we have a shift here. We've got order block here, propulsion block here. What would that look like? Again, 2 micros, I think, would be what I would. What do you think? Test that out with. Or we could utilize, or I'm being silly, and we could utilize this fair value gap that I don't like using them when they're not like at pivotal points either. That type of thing annoys me. Like it has to be in an area that makes sense, you know? So perhaps let that look. Hmm. So we have a fair value gap here, order block here, and so that's 2 PD arrays in the way. I guess this is a third one. There's an order block here too. This setup, I don't know. Sometimes the continuation, cause we technically they made a high here and then they swept it here, and they shifted here, and then you know we didn't leave oh, they have this tiny fair value gap. I don't like that one. I prefer something with a little more oomph in it, and maybe they don't give that to us. Now, the concept of them respecting the midpoint of this thing does sort of make me. What time is it? In this scenario, 10:30, does kind of make me want to take the short from here, but that's like feelings, and I don't know how I feel about feelings, like let's look at it on the 5 minute. Like I'd prefer don't foreshadow. I hate when they do that because like 2 micros. So the question is, where would have been a better entry? The 2 micros for this guy, so we used him as it's 935, 934. That's the first presented for right gap, and they used it here and dropped. I should have felt comfortable once this dropped. This should have been the entry right there. We've got this mitigation block right here, propulsion block, tiny fair value gap, and that would have been good. I don't know that taking this late now, it's probably gone. But the concept is still appropriate. Something that I was doing last year is like literally waiting aggressively for. So let's backtrack here. Waiting aggressively for the initial shift. This is an area where they've rejected from hard and dropped significantly from. So wouldn't even need to. We could go for that, or just if we have a couple of micros, we can like take profit here, like two, and then let one run. So something that I need to get comfortable with. This is a nice rejection, nice big candle. My only irritation is that they didn't leave me like a fair value gap that I wanted to use in this space. But maybe I'm being too short-sighted with it. Maybe what I should have done in this situation is once they disrespected this thing, then take it at the base of it. Like that. So let me see. All right, let's see. Okay, so that would have tapped us in. We would have this fair value gap, this guy, and this as PD arrays in the way. So then let's take a look at what we could do. So 2 micros so far seems like the best play for most of the time. In that case, I'm probably not gonna bum rush and then the expectation at this point would be we'd need to see everything down here get disrespected like properly, like with alacrity, big candles. So from this scenario, I would have done that. Lock in the fees, and then I don't know, is this one of those situations where you wait and take the bare minimum? Can I will this thing allow me to modify this? I don't think so. It's in testing mode. So if I decided to do something like that on 2 micros, like so things I would be doing, like no joke, I would probably do that, lock that in and see if we can get the rest. Like that's pretty badass. And then if it takes this low out, then lock in the 500 on that top right there, like that. And then life is good. I make what I wanted originally, or I make even more. And now we're consolidating. Looks like it'll probably, oh, all right. Let's lock a little bit more. With the consolidation, what time is it? I don't know. At this point, I'm like, we got order block, a little fair value gap. I'm just gonna let it sit. Either I make a ton of 569 or I make the bigger number, and that's that. Looks like I'm gonna get knocked out. I mean, look at this, playing with your emotions, man. What? Okay, I'm gonna lock in a little more. I'm gonna lock in a little more. Probably get knocked out at this point, given the way it's behaving. But at this point, I don't care. Even better, lock in some more. Ooh, 2 micros, y'all. You know what? If Enki wants to move, I don't even know how much it is at this point. I'm just like, okay, we locking it in. Okay. And that would have taken hours, but it would have netted a nice setup. Okay, so let me think about this scenario. We came to an area of interest. We rejected from a higher time frame PD array, dropped beautifully, ran back up, created a short-term high, knocked it out, then shifted. Use this fair value gap as support, then consider using this one for the entry below. I gotta make sure and remember. Anyway, I think I've been doing this for about an hour, right? Yeah, I think it's time for me to have some breakfast and go enjoy the rest of my Sunday. But this is good. This is good. This is this is where I think I'll be able to make adjustments and do better. So I'm gonna say thanks for hanging out with me and apologize for the dark. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Like, I guess it's kind of dark outside, but I have the light on, so it shouldn't be so bad. Maybe I'll get the ring light that I can turn on to like add additional illumination next time. But sometimes it just comes into focus. It's very weird. Whatever. Thanks, Origin, for hanging out and chatting with me and, you know, spending time with me as I go through this. I'm probably going to do some more later. Um, but for now, I'm going to go have some breakfast. Guys, be good. Be safe. I'll see you next time. Shakira, out.